Ludicrous shoulder pads and excessive makeup now on BBC One. Yeah, so what else is new?
The ball went over his head!
Oh dear.
Problems there.
And look at that! Have you ever seen anything like that? Oh! Oh!
And here comes Hurt. He's got some people on the pitch. They think it's all over. It is now.
Hello and welcome to They Think It's All Over. This week in the second of our specials we'll be taking our regulars back to the 80s, or in David's case, back to his 80s. With David and Jonathan is possibly the greatest snooker player of all time and a former Scottish Sports Personality of the Year, a title currently held by David Seaman. It's Stephen Hendry. With Gary and Rory is a European and World Championship gold medalist who made his name in the army, where he not only ran the 400 metres inside 45 seconds, he also stayed 6 inches ahead of the sergeant with the broom handle. Kriss Akabussi. We kick off the 80s with our excuses round, David, Jonathan and Stephen. It's the other best player in snooker history for you, Steve Davis. Here he is in his darkest hour, 1 in the morning, losing his world title to Dennis Taylor in 1985.
No.
He's done it.
So how come the finest player in snooker history, give or take one, lost his world title? David's team.
Before we start on that, Nick, may I just explain my appearance? I'm meant to be Adam Ant today, so later on I'll be singing Prince Charming for you, the Ant rap, then I'll be throwing exhaust manifold through a window and trying to kill you all with a starter pistol. Rory, I'm not quite sure who you're meant to be.
No, neither am I, actually.
Is it?
Let's throw it open for the ladies and gentlemen. Any ideas?
No, I know it is. It's Miss Greece, 1984. I tell you what, I don't know the size of the bird that shat on your head, Gary, but you're due for a lot of good luck.
Same one that shat on your face.
And it's nice to see David looking magnificent, and Steve Henry made no effort whatsoever. Isn't it nice to have Kriss on the show, ladies and gentlemen, with that distinctive, the Akabussi chuckle, as I believe it's called?
Oh, there you go, big guy.
He laughs at just about everything, but we've taken the safety precaution of sitting him next to Gary, so we should have a few quiet moments. Could we have a look at the clip again?
No.
Oh, they freeze it there. There, look. I think Steve Davis was put off by the sudden realisation that he was playing for a herd. Let's face it, that would put you off your stroke, wouldn't it, gentlemen? Eh? Do you play snooker, Steve? Huh? One thing that's always intrigued me about snooker, and I've played a bit, and I was pretty good, you know, I was pretty good. What I noticed, and I don't know if you can, you know, bear this out in the professional world, which I imagine is not dissimilar, is when you used to play with your mates, occasionally when someone leaned up for a shot, either to psych you out or just couldn't help it, they would occasionally let one rip.
There is a few silent fart merchants.
So they actually let them go during the game?
Yeah. It's the reason why we walk around the table so many times. It's not
Hey, Stephen, have you ever played lady snooker?
What snooker?
Lady snooker. You ever played lady snooker? What you do is you go out on a Monday night, you have to find a redhead. Second night, you find a beautiful black lady. Then you go for a redhead, then a beautiful black lady. You want to kind of get out the game before you hit green, ideally. I've no idea, though, what the answer could be for this.
Steve Davis.
Stephen's the snooker man. Is that jacket, is that suede or chamois leather?
Well, whatever it is, the car's clean.
You look like you've come dressed as a carjacker. No, well, you're laughing. Hey, look at that. You don't need a match. We're all dead.
Why did Steve Davis lose?
I reckon a combination of Dennis's wild glasses and perhaps he just, for the first time in his career, bottled it.
I'll give you 3 points for the glasses. Well done, yeah.
The glasses scared him. Well done, Pete.
Steve recently claimed that he was so nervous he was holding his cue too tightly, although Taylor himself reckoned it was all to do with the unique pair of glasses he'd had commissioned. We're not saying that Steve is dull, but in the recent LG Cup semi-final, this is the effect he had on one member of the crowd.
The sleeper.
Gary, Rory and Kriss, tennis for you, and a man who regularly turned the air blue.
40-15. Quiet, please. The ball was out.
Calm down, Mike. I wouldn't be standing there right now. You think I stand there for my health? To get jerks like this to do that? Pea brains like that?
Well, I think that's quite uncalled for.
Now, our question concerns a different John McEnroe tantrum from the 1981 Wimbledon, the one where he said, "You are the pits of the world," and called the umpire a disgrace to mankind. However, the All England Tennis Club won't let us show you that, even though it happened 22 years ago, because the club wishes to discourage the use of such material. They are quite happy for us to show you great moments in the history of British women's tennis, so we'll do that instead, just as soon as we find a hand-cranked black and white projector. So, Gary's team, what was John McEnroe's excuse for saying all those horrible things?
Was he annoyed because the court was double booked? That really pisses me off. That, you know? The private lessons, I hate that. Did you ever whinge at referees, Gary? Did you ever sort of have a go at them?
Yeah, in a nice way. You say, I think you got that wrong, Ref.
I'm terrified.
Honest,
No
honest,
way.
I did sometimes. Yeah. There was once. I said, it was a really bad decision.
But you don't have any officials, do you?
We do. Yeah, we do. We have marksmen. Make sure when you
Marksman?
start...
If you're going to starts the race.
That's just to make sure you run in the first place.
And you're very open and honest about your religion as well. You're Christian, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you came across Jesus Christ in a hotel room that you were reading the Bible, weren't you?
I was up in the Commonwealth Games up in 1986.
Yeah, because I found the Lord in a hotel room as well, because there were a few hookers and a lot of drugs and drink around, and in the course of the evening I did have occasion to go down on my knees, and then a voice out of nowhere said, "Rory, that's enough." It's my old mate Angus Deaton.
I used to swear at Wimbledon. Yeah, when Vinnie Jones grabbed my bollocks.
In fact, I believe he still got them.
Says he dressed like that.
I saw a fantastic piece of footage once comparing American commentary to English commentary on tennis when McEnroe was in his prime. And you heard the American host go, "Oh my God, Mac has gone crazy this time. They're going to find him. We may well be out of the tournament. I got Bob here from CNBC. Bob, what do you think? Is this the end of the road for Mac? I don't know. I think Mac maybe has gone too far. But I have Dave here from ABC." And all these guys going crazy. And then it contrasted the English reaction, which was Dan Maskell, God bless him. And you just saw the footage. Nothing was said. And after about a minute, you'd go, "Oh dear."
Am I right in thinking his excuse, or he may have actually meant it, was that he was trying to motivate himself and said that the disgrace to mankind was himself, and he was saying, "You are the pits."
It's correct for 3 points. Well done, yeah. McEnroe reckons that it's fine for top players to show passion and anger following disputed decisions. Only the other day, when our own Tim Henman had a line call go against him, he got his father to write a strongly worded letter to the Telegraph. It has to be said, though, that the most successful Wimbledon player of all time, Pete Sampras, has never had a tantrum on court. When he gets annoyed at a decision, he just sits in his tyre and sulks. And
Every week.
And at the end of that round,
Fails.
David's team have 3 points and Gary's team have 3 points.
Come on, guys.
Time for our handbags round now, all about the bad blood between sports people. David's team, it's those great middle distance rivals, Sebastian Coe and Steve Ovett for you. Here's Ovett beating Coe to the tape in the 800 metres at the Moscow Olympics of 1980.
Steve Ovett coming home to take the gold medal for Great Britain to beat Sebastian Coe and gets the silver. Kiram gets the bronze.
Now Sebastian Coe with the silver. The handshake, but hardly a glance.
Coe later had his revenge in the 1500 metres, but sadly the only thing the two could agree on was the reason for the feud. So what was it, David's team?
You know, he's Lord Coe now, isn't he? I believe.
It was only a life period. It's just one of those sort of cheap ones.
Yeah, he became Lord Coe. I know. Ovett was naturally fast, wasn't he? Where Seb Coe, I get the feeling that he learned to run fast because he went to... Didn't he go to a posh school? It was Lord Buggerton's school for boys.
Where did you go to school?
I went to Leighton Senior High for boys, and then in the 80s there was Leighton Senior High for girls. And in the 80s they renamed it Winnie Mandela High for girls. And they changed it back sharpish about 3 years later.
This isn't like question of sport, is it?
No.
The problem I've got with Sebastian Coe is the problem I have with a lot of posh people. I know they can't help being born posh. You couldn't help it, could you? Well, because you're twats, basically. I know. It is true. It's true, isn't it? Where did you go to school?
King's School, Canterbury.
Is that a posh school?
One of the oldest, probably poshest schools in the country.
You didn't stand a chance, did you?
I was fine till I met you.
He'd never even chased a dragon until he met me.
He would have done if it was outside off stump.
And he brings it back to sport.
Anyway, Coe.
Yes.
Ovett.
Yes.
Lower class.
David, you must have the answer. Come on.
Was there something that they just avoided running against each other for so long? Was it just they just each were cowards, basically?
It's correct for 3 points.
Well
Thank
done,
you.
Captain.
Yes, according to the tabloids of the time, Coe and Ovett each accused each other of cowardice and of deliberately avoiding a showdown on the track. Sebastian Coe went on to become a leading light in John Major's government. He set his personal best for the 800 metres, running the length of Downing Street shouting, "Norma's coming home early, quick, wipe it on the curtains." Gary's team, your wrangle involves the best all-round athlete of the decade.
Daley Thompson steaming ahead, and Kratchmer coming into second place. Kratchmer, 10.45 is good.
It's a better one, it's a better one, it's a better one, it's a better one!
Yes! That is the true competitor. I've got the big G, boys, the big G.
That was Daley Thompson on his way to his second successive decathlon gold at the Los Angeles Olympics of 1984. But why did Thompson have a big fallout with our very own royal family, Gary's team?
What do you think of these decathletes then, Kriss?
I mean, I think they are the athletes. They're the Superman.
You got 2 days to do it.
Oh yeah, and imagine, what's the Gary Lineker decathlon then? The 100-centimetre dash. Was it something to do with Royal It's a Knockout? Did he compliment Princess Anne on her horse costume?
Good morning, Anne. Why the long face?
What was the answer?
Wasn't there something to do with...
Didn't he make a joke to Princess Anne about
sleeping together,
getting married and having children?
It's correct for 3 points, yeah, well done. Yeah. It all dates back to the moment when Daley won the second gold and Princess Anne came onto the track to congratulate him. At the press conference afterwards, he was asked what she'd said. He replied, "She told me I'm a damn good-looking guy." Then, when asked if he was ever going to get married and who to, he said, "You've just mentioned the lady. She said, I hope the babies will be white." And at the end of that round, David's team have 6 points and Gary's team have 6 points. We move on to Sporting Bluff now. David's team, we take you back to England's 1985-86 tour of the Caribbean, when David Gower, as captain, managed to record an unprecedented 10th successive defeat against the West Indies, losing the series 5-0.
Beautiful shot. Great stroke up by Greenwich. Well done. Good catch.
England's star player Ian Botham was out of form after tabloid reporters revealed he was shagging Lindy Field, Miss Barbados. But how did the affair become public? Gary's team.
Ian Botham's affair with Miss Barbados was uncovered when the pair broke the bed in Botham's hotel room.
Ian Botham's affair with Miss Barbados was uncovered when Mick Jagger walked in on them at a party.
Ian Botham's affair with Miss Barbados was uncovered when they were photographed together at Mike Gatting's barbecue.
You know, Nick, it's very unfair of you to raise this question with David here because, of course, although he was there, I believe you were there, weren't you? He's already told us all that he can remember nothing from that period because he was out of his head on weapons-grade ganja the whole time. He had to smoke it. It was only going to take the edge off the crack he had at breakfast. You must have, the fella's there. Because, like Stephen, we know Stephen loves a puff. Look at him, he's out of it at the moment. Give me a close-up of those pupils, will you? Look at them. Look at the size of them. There's a couple of black holes. Stephen Hawking's at home writing out a new theory based on them. Miss Barbados. Was she, I imagine she was quite beautiful, was she?
Once.
Yeah. Beauty is but a fleeting thing. I know, to look at David now you wouldn't think it, but he won a few beauty prizes in his time. You know, he was Miss Marple 3 years in a row, did you know? I broke the bed during a bout of spectacular love-making once. Fortunately, it was on Michelle's side, so Gary hasn't discovered it yet. But... So what were the other excuses for this deal, then? Mick Jagger coming in.
Mick Jagger.
Maybe they thought Mick Jagger coming in, but they just left the windows open and a dinghy had blown in from the port. I do a very good Mick Jagger impersonation. Mick walked in. Ah! What's going on? What are you doing that quick? Wow, get no satisfaction. And then Beefy says, what? That's Mick Jagger.
Gone now.
That is like there were blind people at home think they're watching Top of the Pops too. Woo! Joe the Flash!
I want to give you 10p for a cup of tea.
Can you imagine Mick Jagger, David Botham...
Stop it now!
I'm after Alistair McGowan's job.
Come on, David, you must know the answer.
Well, the allegation was the bed story.
Hold on.
What?
No.
We haven't examined the third clue, the barbecue. Have you lost leave of your senses, old man?
No, I've just lost the will to live.
Maybe. It probably was at a barbecue, because I know you said you enjoyed the barbecue. It was the only time on that tour you heard anyone say to him, well done, David.
True.
That's a good joke.
The allegation was the broken bed bit, but his alibi was that his father-in-law was in the room at the time, so it can't have been true.
You think that Kriss was telling the truth? Let's see if you're right. Yes, Kriss had the answer. Ian Botham's dalliance hit the headlines when their nighttime antics broke their bed. However, the truth is that a News of the World journalist who'd already bought Miss Barbados' story sawed through the bed legs to make sure they broke. David Gower was actually in the room next door at the time. When he was woken by the sound of splintering wood, he instinctively tucked his bat under his arm and walked into the wardrobe. Gary's team, it's the man whose career epitomised British sport in the 80s, Eddie the Eagle Edwards.
"75 metres," the scoreboard shows. That's a new British record, if confirmed. It's 55. The scoreboard showed 75, it's 55.
Celine Dion beat Eddie the Eagle's best jump when she was only a child.
Jürgen Klinsmann beat Eddie the Eagle's best jump when he was only a child.
Sven-Göran Eriksson beat Eddie the Eagle's best jump when he was only a child.
Can I ask who I am? Why have I got this ridiculous badger on my head?
Because you'll do anything for money.
Go on, Gal.
Klinsmann.
Yeah.
He went downhill after he left Spurs, you see. Happy with a groan, love a groan. That's that deathly hush that's horrible.
Most people go downhill when they join Tottenham, don't they?
You fat tart.
Green light.
Settle.
Sven was the other one, isn't it?
I'm not doing any Sven jokes.
Well, you think you're going to get a recall?
Yeah.
So what's the answer?
I read it. It's Sven.
So you think that Jonathan was telling the truth? Let's see if you're
Definitely.
right. Yes, Jonathan told the truth. At the age of 15, Eriksson the Eagle jumped a personal best of 75 metres. That's 4 metres more than Eddie Edwards and 75 metres more than David Seaman. Incidentally, poor old Eddie is now so down on his luck that he's been driven to offering his services in an activity catalogue, skiing with Eddie the Eagle at £89 a go. Just imagine the shame of having to offer yourself up as entertainment to board executives, like Eddie or like David Gower. So the scores at the end of that round are David's team with 9 points and Gary's team with 9 points. Time now for our regulars to feel a 1980s icon. Gary and Rory, you're up first this week, if you'd like to take your positions. You have 90 seconds to figure out who you're mauling.
Might I suggest that the two of you looks like a very special edition of Birds of a Feather?
Can we have our first mystery guest, please? Okay, and your time starts now.
Ooh. He's got lipstick on his fingers now.
I got it. Is it a very bad high jumper? Ooh.
It's either Posh Spice. I think you're blindfolded.
Pass!
Yeah, Alan, hold that.
I'll give him a point. No points for that, I'm afraid. So, David and Jonathan, if you could take your positions.
I've just realised who Stephen looks like. If you took Will Young's grotesque lantern-jawed face and morphed it with Gareth Gates' cute, more boyish face, look.
Can we have our second mystery guest, please? Okay, and your time starts now.
What's this? Is it an earring? Is it Pat Butcher? Oh, I think it is Pat Butcher.
He's holding candelabra.
What's this?
Is this Princess Di's butler?
There's no clues. He's wearing a
Over
cape.
there, there's clues the other side.
Right a bit.
Right a bit.
Right a bit. No,
Right.
Actually, carry on.
Stop! Keep going.
Get no! Get a pencil!
Walk forward.
Well, where am I?
Keep going.
Right! Oh, right! There you
What
go.
the hell? Is it the Crafty Cockney?
Nope.
Is it Bobby George?
It is! How right is that?
4 minutes.
Cheers, Rory. Thanks, good.
Oh, see that.
So at the end of that round, Gary's team have 9 points and David's team have 12. We draw proceedings to a close by playing the name game, and of course all today's sportsmen made their names during the 80s. The leaders go first, which is David's team.
Bring it on.
Stephen, could you pass those to Jonathan, please?
All right, OK.
Starting now.
Oh, first name. First part of the name, it's a Brazilian football, I believe. First part, you wear it on your foot, in between your bare skin and the shoe.
Sock.
Second name, small thing, like a mouse, not a mouse. Bigger than a mouse, a bit like a mouse. You find them all over London.
It's not a rat.
It's a rat, OK? Sock rat,
Socrates.
and remember that drug you have at the weekend?
Socrates.
Ease, there you go, OK. English cricketer, first name, Rory sleeps with the parents of this animal. Often seen frolicking and gambling.
Oh, little lamb.
Allan Lamb, well done. All right, well, snooker player, you should get this. When you climb on top of a lady, some people say he has successfully...
Doug Mountjoy.
Thank you. Doug Mountjoy, well done, Stephen. OK, all right, this is a darts player. First name, if you were tiny and rode a small horse, you would be a... Not a dwarf, not a leprechaun, not a fairy, not a pixie. A Frankie Vittori.
Right.
You would be a...
But still a jockey.
Yeah, a jockey!
Wilson.
Jockey Wilson, well done.
Good luck.
Good luck, boys.
And your time starts now.
He's a crap skier. Very good indeed. He's a silver medalist in the 3,000 metres in Los Angeles. Kriss. I don't want to put you on the...
Mark Rowland.
It's a lady, I should have told you that. Like a fox. A fox is cunning or... Sly.
Oh, yeah, Wendy Sly.
Oh, yeah, Wendy Sly.
Well done, mate.
He won the FA Cup with Wimbledon in '88.
Wendy Jones.
And wait, a bit more. You can have some clues if you want. His surname's like a tyre. Well, his name of a tyre, in fact. Those 12 months weren't bad. Those 12 months weren't Goodyear.
Goodyear.
First name of India, Anderson. You know when...
What's his first name?
You know when the show is not recorded, it's...
Live Goodyear.
Live. Nearly live. Live Goodyear is so close. And you just have to think of a man's Christian name that sounds like live.
Livingston?
It sounds even more like live.
So, Gary's team have 14, but this week's winner is David's team with 19. Thanks to David, Jonathan and Stephen, Gary, Rory and Kriss. Join us next week for the first of our new series proper, which will be set in the current decade, with Rory supplying jokes from the 1930s. My name's Nick Hancock. They think it's all over. It is now.
Dinner Ladies. On BBC Two in a couple of minutes, that's Victoria Wood's Dinner Ladies. Here on BBC One, after the news, Patrick Keelty's back for a new series with guests George Best and Badly Drawn Boy.